SELSI, spoken easy language for social inclusion.
Good morning, everyone. Again, it's a pleasure for me to participate in this really interesting conference, and I am very sorry that I can't be there in person. I am Irene Florean from the University of Trieste, and today I will talk to you about why research on cognitive offloading is important for easy language and how studies on cognitive offloading can help simplify information and improve understanding. So in my presentation, I will cover what cognitive offloading is, how a user-centered and empirical approach to studying cognitive offloading can help design and test solutions that support cognition and make understanding easier. And finally, I will share with you some results from cognitive offloading research that are relevant for easy language. First, these results highlight the benefits of interacting with people, technologies, and interfaces in supporting thinking and understanding. And second, these results show the usefulness of external visual aids to represent information. For example, by using maps, diagrams, or schemas, as this type of visual aids can help people better understand the information we want to convey. So let's start. The term cognitive offloading refers to all those smart actions that we take to simplify cognitive tasks by reducing the load on our attention, memory, and thinking. We can offload cognition both onto the body and into the world. We offload cognition onto the body when we use our body to simplify cognitive operations, such as when we count on our fingers to perform mathematical operations. We offload cognition into the world when we take actions that change some elements of our environment, such as when we put a book in a visible place to remind us to return to the library, or when you write and draw on a map to plan an efficient route during a trip, or when we try to simplify a text or a presentation in order to make it easier to understand. But how cognitive offloading works? Well, let's see an example. In this task, you need to plan the shortest possible route on the presented map. And you should do this according to some constraints. Specifically, you should start in X and in G, visit all the locations listed while also following some rules. And specifically, you should visit Y immediately before visiting N, but you should also visit L immediately before visiting S. So I give you a few seconds to try and plan your route. It isn't so easy, isn't it? Okay, well, I move on. By using the task you have already seen, we carried out a series of studies on how people plan routes on maps, and specifically, we investigated what happens when individuals are allowed or not allowed to use a pen while planning the routes on the maps. This allowed us to understand which are the offloading strategies that individuals spontaneously devised while planning the routes on our maps, when individuals used such strategies, and how the use of such strategies affects their planning performance. Here we can see an example of the offloading strategies that individuals spontaneously devise to plan the routes on the maps. And specifically, we can see that they mark out, starting and arrival locations, the rules to follow, the other locations to be included in the route, and they also kept an external track of their plan. So we have also observed that these strategies were especially used when the maps were more difficult, meaning that they presented more location to be included in the route. And we have also observed that the use of such strategies improve planning performance. And indeed, participants who could use the pen compared to those who could not were faster and more accurate in planning the route. So based on these findings, we designed maps with some of the offloading strategies that we have just seen directly embedded into the maps in order to study their effectiveness in helping people's route planning. In this image, you can see an example of how we embedded these strategies into the maps with visual aids. And specifically, for example, we highlighted the starting and arrival locations differently, but we have also highlighted the other places to be included in the route and the rules to follow by using arrows. And we also provided individuals with the possibility to take annotations about the route they were planning. And by presenting individuals with such maps, we found that when they were provided with these external aids, the individuals were actually more accurate and faster in planning the routes compared to when they were not provided with such external aids. So our studies on route planning on maps can suggest a more general approach consisting of first observing which actions individuals spontaneously take to simplify complex cognitive tasks and evaluating their effectiveness. Second, designing tools, interaction, and external representations based on individual spontaneous actions and their outcomes. And last, empirically testing these designs with users. Indeed, by observing which actions lay people take to try to simplify and understand a complex text can be a promising approach. And actually, there are some interesting findings in this regard that may be immediately useful. Some studies provided support for lay people capacity to effectively restructure information displays. For example, Fupi observed that individuals spontaneously use not to restructure information in a decision-making task, and he also found that the way in which individuals organized such information influenced how they finally choose and apply decision-making strategies. More recently, Moritz and colleagues have studied how individuals interactively changed graphical displays for extracting relevant information. They found that when participants were provided with the possibility to change information directly on the display, they were more able to extract the relevant information to perform the task at hand. So the studies indicate that promoting interactivity in both written and spoken language can be useful in simplifying information, ultimately facilitating its understanding. For written language, it can be useful to provide text in interactive displays in order to give readers the possibility to control how the information is organized. This way, users can personalize the displays to prioritize the information that is most important to them. For example, by moving or hiding sections or subsections of a text. For spoken language, it can be useful to interact with the recipients of our communications to understand which contents are the most important to them in order to focus our speech exactly on that contents or to reorganize our speech considering which are the most relevant contents to our audience. It would be better to interact with the recipients of our communication at the beginning of our speech or even in advance of it. Oh, okay. Another useful strategy for written language involves highlighting the important parts of a text or taking marginal notes or drawing near to the text, just as students and lay people, and I think we have all adopted these strategies to enhance our understanding and memory encoding of the text and its information. Therefore, in our opinion, the text layout should be organized to support these spontaneous behaviors. Similarly, in spoken language, it is useful to give people the option to take notes on a written transcription of our speech or to explicitly highlight the most important points of our speech. Notes can be taken either during or after the speech, but we believe that taking them after the speech may be better as it helps avoid excessive cognitive load during the speech delivery itself. For written text, it can also be useful to provide readers with a possibility to drill down to get more information on a specific part of a text by simply clicking on that part. For oral speech, encouraging the audience to ask for more information when needed is a helpful way to promote an interactive deepening of specific aspects of a text and of our speech. And in this case, it could be useful to pre-plan interaction points during our speech. For both written and spoken language, it is useful to provide individuals with the possibility to ask for a reformulation of unclear points, for example, by simplifying or summarizing them. For written language, this can be also done automatically by using generative artificial intelligence, and in this case, it could be very useful to provide individuals with tips on how to give clear prompts or to provide them directly with simplified prompts to give to the software of automatical intelligence we are using. For spoken speech, again, pre-planning interaction points during the speech is a way to support clarifications. An additional strategy to simplify information and facilitate its understanding is to provide an external visual representation of the information. And this because different studies have shown that providing individuals with well-designed external representation of information promote their accomplishment of cognitive tasks. And this happens because external representation are able to foster the construction of a better mental representation of the contents we want to transmit. This can be especially useful when it is important to understand the relational or visual spatial elements, or when it is important to have a preview of the structure of the contents. So using external representations like diagrams or maps can help people better understand complex information. And well-designed visuals make it easier to grasp relationships between different parts of the information. So let's see some examples. Research shows that schematic or visual representations of content structure are valuable tools for simplifying communication and enhancing understanding. These visual aids help break down complex information into a more accessible format, supporting memory retention and comprehension by illustrating the relationships between concepts. Okay. Similarly, When we want to present, for example, taxonomic information, it is beneficial to use hierarchical or structured representations. In this regard, for example, Bauer and colleagues demonstrated that organizing information into a conceptual hierarchy, like the one shown in the figure, in the first figure, can enhance understanding and retention. And indeed, by visually structuring relationships, such as grouping minerals by their types, viewers can more easily grasp and remember complex classifications. When we present complex numerical information, and especially when we present probabilities and data, it is very useful to present them also with images and infographics. And this is because when we present probabilities and data, we are presenting information that can be very abstract and so very difficult to understand. But when we also provide them in a visual format, we are making them more concrete and therefore easier to grasp, understand, and remember. So to summarize, in this presentation, we have seen that the actions taken by the users can have significant cognitive consequences, impacting both text and speech comprehension. By using an empirical approach, we can understand which actions are the most beneficial and under what circumstances. This knowledge can inform the design of tools, visual aids, and interactive elements to enhance user comprehension and accessibility to information. Testing these designs empirically ensures their effectiveness. Ultimately, various different forms of interactivity and external visual representations have the potential to improve information comprehension and memory, whether in written text or spoken communication. In our opinion, all of this can significantly contribute to making information simpler and more accessible to everyone. So, I have concluded my presentation. Thank you all for your attention.
SELSI, spoken easy language for social inclusion. Partners are Zavod Risa, RTV Slovenija, Dyslexieverbundet, Università degli Studi di Pavia, Vieglas Valodas Agentura, Vilnius Universitetas, Vsi informacijos kaupimo ir sklaidos centras. Funded by the European Union.